This week on Three Dad Bods.
You lose a punt fumble, you have a fumble inside, the 30-yard line. You get a fumble recovery. You get an interception. You have the fourth down in the overtime. And I knew on that play, I said they're gonna do a fake and Mahomes is gonna run it, just like they did in the third quarter when he got 15 yards. And
That broke their back.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Three Dad Bods with Brent, Karl, and Brawl or Krent. Maybe
Sean's
Krent.
MIA tonight. Yep.
Current.
It's just two of us tonight, damn it.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you wearing that hat for?
You know what? I am a diehard Niners fan. I remember watching games with my dad, and I will say the last two Super Bowls that the Niners have been in, I really wasn't that disappointed. I honestly didn't think we were going to win those. The last time we played Kansas City and then when we played Baltimore. The Baltimore game became close, but then there was the power outage that happened.
Oh, yeah,
in
I
the Super
remember
Bowl.
that.
But this one, from day one of the season to last night, honestly felt like this was our year to finally get our sixth Super Bowl ring. And
on paper, you guys were a big favorite. I mean, I don't
listen, kudos to Kansas City. I mean,
Yeah.
they really deserve all the credit. The Niners had plenty of opportunities and did not capitalize, did not take advantage of those like they should. You lose a punt fumble, you have a fumble inside, the 30-yard line. You get a fumble recovery. You get an interception. You have the fourth down in the overtime. And I knew on that play, I said they're gonna do a fake and Mahomes is gonna run it, just like they did in the third quarter when he got 15 yards. And
that broke their back.
It really did, because that would have been it, blah, blah, blah. And, but they are the top of the league. In my opinion, Andy Reid is the GOAT of NFL football. And people will argue, he doesn't have as many NFL rings as Belichick has. But my argument is he's been to 11 conference championship games. Some people may not think that's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
Well, he was the three Super Bowls he lost.
Yes.
When he was an Eagle.
And he's done that with different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You tell me what Belichick's record is without Tom Brady, and it is not a very good record at all.
Well, I think that I've been trying to figure out, since the game ended, everybody's been talking about, the X factor. Obviously, Mahomes is a big deal. You never want to give that guy the ball to win a game. But what really on paper, the Niners should have won that game. The Niners had so many opportunities to win that game. You know where the X factor is? Andy Reid. I agree. Shanahan's just still he's still
learning.
Yeah. And he'll get there.
Shanahan is very good in his offenses in disguising what he's like. He does it very. Everybody will shift this way and the play runs the other way. Does very good.
He's great.
But what is it? Steve Spagnuolo? I don't know what his last name is. The defensive coordinator,
great coach.
Incredibly disguised blitzes. I mean, just people flying from everywhere. Absolutely incredible. And then the last play you're talking about, the last play where they scored the touchdown. Running a play is more than just having your play, maybe run an option to see if it's a man or a zone. Where Andy Reid takes it to the next step is he'll run the motion to put a guy beginning to sway into a motion and then snap it right at the exact perfect spot that leaves a corner or a safety in a dazed and confused situation. You have either A or B to go to, and if he goes to A, you throw it to B, and if he goes to B, you throw it to... It is brilliant. It is absolute brilliant. And
let's talk
kudos to him.
Casey's defense last night. San Francisco could not throw the ball down the field. Those DBs, I mean, I mean, I'll say,
Well, they didn't have time.
Fred.
He had like a 2-second count, and he
Yeah,
had somebody on him.
yeah.
Very
I
good.
mean, there was some holding, there were some penalties, but I mean, same thing went the other way. I mean, I was
Yeah.
watching Warner. He was holding Kelsey half the first half, and then Kelsey they rubbed him off in the second half. And that was a Reid adjustment at halftime. And they're like, "Well, we need to get you open," even though
Yeah.
Kelsey went ballistic in that embarrassing
Look, though,
moment in the first
look,
half.
he did, but you know what? People just need to stop
It's just
with that.
competitive. Yeah.
He's competitive, and what it didn't show is literally a few moments afterwards, Kelsey went over and gave him a hug,
Oh, I
apologized
know.
for what he did.
Reid
So,
loves that guy. Yeah.
yes, and who
Just
and
be
look,
like you and me
everybody
sometimes.
loves that guy.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it, and he is, without doubt, one of the top 3 best tight ends ever played.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never seen a guy who finds an opening better than he does.
Yeah.
He understands the game so incredibly well.
Yeah.
Um,
My I was so entertained. I didn't really care one way or the other, to be honest. I kind of was wanting Reid to win it at the end just because it was just I got kind of caught up in that come from behind
yeah.
move they made in the second half. And I got to admit at the end when Mahomes got the ball, I told David, I said, Casey's going to win this game. And he's like, "Are
Yeah.
you sure?" I'm like, "Yep, it's going to happen right
Yeah.
now. Mahomes is
Yeah,
going to
the
pull it."
Niners had to score a touchdown on that drive. You
Yeah.
don't score a touchdown, you leave it wide open, he's going to pick you. He's gonna find a way to win.
Yeah. The other thing that was really a game changer to me, and everybody blames the field goal kicker. It, that was an amazing block.
But it
Was it
changes
Jones
things
that
too.
got his hand
Yeah,
up there?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that changes the whole dynamic of the game.
Oh
You're
yeah.
up by 4, now you gotta score a touchdown every time. You can't just get settled with a field goal. Changes the whole dynamic of
It
everything.
was one of the best Super Bowls I think I've ever watched.
They say it was one of the top 2,
Yeah.
uh,
What was
and
the
it
other
was
one?
the longest Super Bowl played,
Yeah.
and it was also the 7th longest NFL football game ever played.
I mean, the first half was a little boring. I mean, the Usher halftime was even worse. So
It's terrible.
it was beyond terrible. And so I was excited to see the second half, and the second half turned out to be brilliant. I mean, amazing second half. And I got to admit, I feel bad for the Niner fans because I used to be a Niner fan and like Steve and saw Joe over on the sideline. Even brought out Joe, the Lucky Charm Irishman, and he couldn't even
Yeah.
pull it off for him. So I just I feel bad for guys like Fred Warner, like who's that 71 that tackle Williams, Trevor Williams? Is that it? Yeah. I mean, he's been there forever. He needs
When
to
the
get a
guy went down with the Achilles injury, that hurt a
oh,
lot.
that was
That
horrible.
was a big loss. Debo, I don't think, was 100% after he pulled his
Mm.
hamstring. Jawan Jennings, who threw the touchdown pass
Yeah, he was
to
rocked too.
McCaffrey and also caught one. He's a local kid here in Nashville.
No, is he
Grew
really?
up in Murfreesboro. Yeah, went to University of Tennessee. Jawan Jennings. Yeah, great person, great player.
Hmm.
So
I'm just amazed Casey could do it with that I mean, bottom line, their running back isn't as good as McCaffrey. They don't have the same
they shut him
receivers.
down. And the
They
Niners defense played incredibly good. You have to give
Yeah,
it.
they did. They played
They
great.
were all over Mahomes. They hassled him. They stopped the rush.
Well,
Pacheco did nothing that whole game.
the big difference was when Greenwall hurt his Achilles,
Yep.
which was
Yep.
freak
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Fred looked at him and you could see Fred go like this, and I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
crap, that's a big
And you saw
injury."
his ankle like his foot swivel like that, and it
You better be
just.
calling Aaron Rodgers tonight. Anyway, the other thing too, I kind of like this year, and I someone else was talking about it on social media, but the commercials this time were not controversial. There were no woke disasters played, except there was a weird one with washing feet had AI video in it. That was kind of to me.
There was a lot of Christian commercials in there.
There
It
were
was from Jesus Cares or something like that. There were like 4 of them inside there.
my favorite though was I had to laugh was when they did the birds with the NFL
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
And then the other one I really liked was the mullet one, where the bald eagle had a mullet. the ATV commercial. That was great.
I like the Dunkin' Donuts one.
That was good too.
The
That was good too.
Dunkings.
I
Yeah.
got to admit though, Jennifer Aniston, I was disappointed. She's looking her age now. Finally,
Jennifer Aniston.
yeah. Didn't you see the one with Swimmer, where he asked her if he remembers her,
Oh,
and
no, I didn't see
you
that.
missed that one? Oh yeah, that was in
I
the
did.
second half.
Look, I was probably more invested in the Super Bowl than any in some time, and I was just a nervous wreck. Like, I literally stood in the same spot the whole time. I haven't been this disappointed, and I typically don't get disappointed over sports, but
Yeah,
when
it's just
you
sports.
grow up with a team, I compare this feeling to the '97 finals of the Utah Jazz when they lost to the Bulls. When
Really, that intense, huh?
Yeah,
I think everybody in
yeah,
Utah felt that one.
yeah, we all in that playoff series felt like this was our year. We had the better record. We're finally going to dethrone Jordan, and you just don't beat the greatest of
I was
something.
watching.
They just find ways to win,
Well, Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith were knocking Purdy this morning, and I mean,
Stephen, they're
that dude had a great
Shannon
game.
Sharp isn't it?
I
He did.
mean,
I don't
both
know how
those
you
guys are
knock him.
morons.
When
Yeah,
when you have literally a second and a half to 2 seconds to make the play, there were some questionable throws, but how many turnovers did he have?
0.
0.
Mahomes
He had
had
0
one.
turnovers.
Yeah, he threw a
He
real
did.
bad one.
Through the interception. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was first part of the second half. That
yeah.
should have been a game changer right
Well,
there.
the
Take advantage of it.
Niners blew it though in the first half. They had Kansas City where they wanted them. They missed that opportunity at the 10-yard line, fumbled the ball. They should have scored there on that first drive. They also, what was a field goal? They should have got another. I mean, they could have scored 14 points in that half. Or wait a minute,
Yeah.
what was the score at halftime again?
It was 10-6.
Yeah,
10-6.
they should have been up I was thinking 14-6 would have been more
I mean, they
like,
held on to 2 field goals in the first half. I mean,
yeah,
had their
yeah.
chance. The
Go
thing
ahead.
that bothered me the most, and it's not even related to football, but
Yeah,
for 200 years, we've heard about equality
yeah.
and being equal. And I'm thinking in my head, if back in 1950 or 1940, some white lady named Karen told African Americans that they have to have their own anthem, the
Yeah.
amount of chaos that would ensue. I'm trying to figure out the purpose of why one group of people who, and when we're striving for equality, want to have their own national anthem. I don't understand this. And look, maybe it's because I'm white Anglo-Saxon male. I don't know.
Matt Walsh talked
But
about it today on his podcast.
did he?
He said exactly that. He said basically, but his point was actually pretty good because he's been talking about the only ones still really pushing it are the media and corporate America.
Yeah,
Most Americans are just tired of it. And we're
right.
getting to the point where,
I didn't
hey,
see anybody in the stand singing it.
yeah, we're all the same. Let's just let it go. Let's just be
Yes,
Americans. Americans.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't understand. I don't understand why we sing God Bless America. I don't really think that's necessary to do. We don't need to have all these songs being sung before sporting events,
I know
Look, you want to do the national anthem?
Post Malone did a good job. I thought it was a little better, and I was expecting. I didn't know what to expect, and then I thought he did a pretty decent job with him with the.
I like low Post Malone better back in the early 90s.
Okay.
But I do have some interesting Super Bowl facts. Now,
Oh,
not about
that's
the
right. Yeah.
teams, not about the Niners, not about Kansas City, not about other teams, just some Super Bowl facts. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I don't know how familiar you are with the history of the Super Bowl. Obviously, it started in the late 60s, I believe in 67, maybe
It was actually
66.
between two rival football leagues, not
It
even
is,
the
right.
same
So
football league.
so the NFL
Mhm.
it has been the dominant football conference since, the early 1920s. There have been several other attempts. There was a World Football League. There were a couple other different football leagues that started. And same today. You got the XFL. You've got
The UFL.
the USFL. Can you imagine in today's atmosphere, the NFL deciding to put together a championship game between the NFL and the USFL? You just wouldn't
No.
happen. The talent level is far different. But the AFL and the NFL, after about a half a decade with the AFL just saying, hey, can we have a championship game between us? Can we do something between us? And the NFL going, no, you're not good enough. It's not going to work. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So in 60, let me
60.
see, I believe it was 67,
Okay.
they decided to get together and it was called the AFL, it was called the NFL AFL Championship Game.
Right.
Really catchy tune to it right
Yeah.
there. The first football game was held in Los Angeles in the Rose Bowl with maybe half-filled stadium. There was, I believe, a marching band at halftime.
Oh, you can still watch that game on YouTube, by the way. I have.
No, you can't. There is
Uh-huh.
no game film of that game at all.
Of that
There
game?
is not.
Oh, maybe I was watching
Yeah,
the
the first Super
Miami.
Bowl.
Well, I was watching one where they were playing at Miami. Never mind. It was at
Yeah,
Miami, and
yeah.
they pre-recorded the pregame. Anyway, it was funny.
So Super Bowl II
Yeah.
and Super Bowl III were both played in Miami.
Okay.
Um,
That's the one I was
the
thinking of.
NFL won the first two Super Bowls with Green Bay. That was 1 and 2. And then the legend of Joe Namath came forth in Super Bowl III, where he guaranteed the win. And people thought it was crazy. It's the New York Jets, nowhere near as
And they never
dominant
come
as
close.
yeah, exactly. And they ended up winning.
Mhm.
Now the first Super Bowl, the Packers won that. Kansas City was in that game also. So interesting fact. So they had the NFL AFL championship game. And Lamar Hunt, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, wanted a more catchier name. And his kids were playing with this super ball. They were playing catch with it and stuff like that. And he got something in his head because up until that point, college football was dominated by bowl games. Lamar wanted to change the name of the Super Bowl. And so his kids were playing. They had a Super Ball that they were playing catch with. And it kind of resonated the game Super Ball, Super Ball. And up until that point, bowl games were what kind of ended the college football season. You had all these pageants and festivities and everything like that. And that's kind of what this championship game was starting to become. Two conferences coming together to have a bowl game. Now, the reason why college football had bowl games was the grandfather of them all, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, was hosted during the Tournament of Roses parade that had been going on for many, many years before that. And the Rose Bowl was built like a bowl. If you look at the shape of it and everything, it looks just like a bowl. So hence the name Rose Bowl. Well, he had the Super Bowl. He thought, just jokingly, maybe the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And he presented it to, I can't remember the name, Pete Rozelle. That's who it was. And Pete actually liked it. He was actually kind of kidding around with the name, and Pete was like, "Yeah, that's a good name." So they went with the Super Bowl. A couple other little facts here.
Hmm.
So cities to host. Want to take a guess on which city has hosted the most?
Well, probably Miami.
You're right.
Okay.
Miami's hosted 11. New Orleans, number 2, with 7. Uh, the
Time out.
Superdome, Louisiana Superdome has
Mhm.
hosted the most Super Bowls out of any other stadium.
And that's what I thought originally. I would have said that until I went back and did some research myself, because it
Yeah.
always seemed it was at the Superdome, right? That's wherever
Mhm.
the Super Bowl was when we were kids.
Yeah, it always seemed like it was always there,
or the Coliseum
They're in Miami
or
and
the
in LA.
yeah.
So, couple interesting facts. Here's some facts that I didn't know about, but choosing the selection process, okay? First criteria is the market must have a football team, professional football team in it. If you think, and we were just talking about Los Angeles, but if you think about the years where the Rams were not there, or the Raiders earlier, they never hosted Super Bowls during those seasons. It was a
Ah,
big stretch there where LA did not host the Super Bowl.
that's right.
And they didn't host it again until the Chargers and the Rams came back in the SoFi Stadium.
Mm,
The host stadium must have at least 70,000 seats. It must have all the media and electrical capabilities to be able to host that. Stadiums where the average game day temperature is below 50 degrees must either have a roof or a waiver given by the league. If you think
mm,
back to the Super Bowl that was held in New York, it was like 25 degrees.
it's true. It's
It was
true.
one of the least popular Super Bowls of all time.
You
Um,
want you wanna know something ironic yesterday? When,
what's that?
well, where did they play the game? In whose
In
stadium?
Vegas?
Yeah,
Raiders?
the Raiders. Who was the
Mhm.
one that handed the trophy to Reid? John Elway.
Um, oh, it was LA, wasn't it?
Yeah. So so
They're bitter
basically bitter
rivals.
enemies had to give him the Super Bowl trophy in the Raiders' home field. I love it.
Yeah. With the Chiefs in their end zone.
Well, for the Raiders, that would have never happened in Oakland. No way in hell this league would have had
Yeah.
a game in Oakland in the Super Bowl.
So with all of the online gambling and everything now that transpired, like in Tennessee is
Yeah.
legal and stuff, with it being in Vegas, that was always the holdback with Vegas is there's too big of an opportunity for gambling to fix games and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but all of the players in the NFL were they were not allowed to attend any casinos at all. They had to stay away from all even just to play blackjack
Mm.
or slot machines or anything like that. They were not allowed to go into casinos. The second thing is if you notice on any of the online gaming apps, you can bet on player stats, you can bet on team stats, you can bet on the football game itself. The thing you cannot bet on, anything related to the referees
Mm.
regarding a penalty, who will get the first penalty, how many like you don't see bets like that. And the reason is to deter from the idea that it could be fixed in a certain way where refs may blow an
Wait,
extra
wait,
whistle to make
wait,
it.
Brent, you know that the NFL is just WWF. Everybody says that. It's fixed. Come on, last night was a fixed outcome. Did you know that? They wanted Reid to win the game.
I strongly disagree with that. Here's
And
why
and
I
and we
disagree with
landed
that.
on the moon. That's yeah.
That I don't agree with. But here is why I disagree with that. Football is even with all of the rule changes and regulations and everything, it is an incredibly violent sport.
Mhm,
It is a sport where you cannot be lax or allow something to happen. Number one, you'll be exposed incredibly. Like
mhm.
it'll be plain as day. Second of all, you have to understand these athletes are the most competitive human beings you have ever met in your life. The
No,
third string backup of any NFL team will dominate you in any type of challenge you try to do. That is the mentality of an athlete. And so to me, that's why I just don't buy into that. I believe that you cannot tell me those people on the Niners sideline did not want to win a Super Bowl. You
well,
cannot tell me.
and I agree with you on that. I actually don't believe in that. I think what you said about the fact that we cannot bet on officials' calls is a
Mhm.
very smart whoever made that decision, that was great because that keeps the game pure to a certain extent. I mean,
Right.
officials make mistakes. And a 49er fan, a Bills fan. a Tennessee Titan fan is going to see a loss their way. I mean, I'm a Cougar fan. When we play the Utes, the calls go the wrong way.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is a penalty on BYU, but I mean, you see what you want to see as a fan, not what. And as a third party watching the game, where I really didn't care which team won, that was a good called game. I didn't
It
really
was
see.
I agree.
Yeah,
In
I didn't
fact, I
see
was
any
just thinking,
favoritism. Yeah.
yeah, as you were saying that, I was literally just thinking in my head, because most of the times when a team loses, like in an overtime game or a
Mhm.
close game, you
There's a
blame
controversial
you
call.
blame one play with the officials. There's that, there's always that Seattle game where, there's the pass interference in the end zone that wasn't called and whatnot. I honestly I
No
can't remember
complaints.
a call where I'm thinking in my head like, "Oh, that was," like, I really can't think of that.
Well, the
W
call when that guy fumbled the ball or didn't fumble the ball, it was a football play for the 49ers. He got that first down. I mean, it was a good call. I mean,
It's a fantastic call.
even as a Kansas City fan, I don't think they can complain about that. I mean,
No,
the reality
no.
was he got a first down and
Yeah.
he hit the ball cost. I hate that rule now with catching the ball. It's so stupid. I
Yeah,
mean, if you catch the
they've gone
ball,
pretty extreme.
yeah, it's starting to now even out where it's starting to make a little more sense. But it was
Yeah,
a good game, man.
and
I for once was
most
very
Niner
interested in the outcome.
fans
What's that?
most Niner fans like myself, we blame ourselves. We look at missed opportunities that we missed. Not I have yet to say it was a ref call. I don't think that is. I don't know any Niner fan that has ever said that at all.
Okay, so let me
Um,
ask you a question. You remember the Niner Dallas Cowboy rivalry
yeah.
in the 90s? Do you think
Mhm.
Kansas City and the 49ers are now a rivalry, even though the
No,
NFC AFC?
no.
I don't know, man.
I don't think a Chief considers the Niners their rivalry. I think the Chiefs, that division is so entrenched. Broncos, Chargers,
It's a good division.
Raiders,
Yeah.
Chiefs. They have had such a long, long rivalry between themselves. I and as a Niner fan, no. Our rival is still the Dallas Cowboys.
Mhm.
And I would think Green Bay thinks of San Francisco more of a rival than
The Green
Kansas City
then
does.
then the Niners think of
Yeah.
Green Bay as a rival. Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably the Niners' top rival today is probably Seattle. That's who I kind of get up and amp for, and, because you're gonna always play them twice a year.
Okay, so I have some questions for you. You answered one of them. Maybe you did. Is Kansas
I
City
got
the
some more
next
stats too when you're finished, so
is the
go ahead.
Kansas City the next New England in terms of dominance?
Hold on one second.
I guess you could say they are already. Okay. Ready?
Sorry.
Okay. Quick answers. Don't go too long on
Mhm.
these. The Super Bowl is Kansas City. Is Kansas City the next New England in terms of dominance?
I would be hard to say no. I mean,
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
Do you think
Yeah.
they can repeat? Three-peat?
3rd time. Do you know that has never been done?
No.
There's never been a 3 time in a row
I think that's why
world
Andy's
champion.
staying. He's not
Yeah,
retiring
I
yet.
think that's why, Kelsey's staying and those guys. The Niners are already the favorite to win this year.
Yeah, I know. I think it's gonna be KC and the Niners again,
I I think you've got the Niners who are young and incredibly loaded.
and they're hungry.
You have a Detroit Lions team that
That's a tough
absolutely
team.
terrifies me.
You gotta play them again next year in the final,
Yeah,
probably. And the
you've got a
Rams
Green Bay Packer team with
and
Jordan
young
Love
yeah,
that
Jordan
they are
Love.
very I in the AFC,
Too brutal.
you 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 still have Baltimore. Baltimore is going to get over that hump, and I'm hearing stuff where they may go after Derrick Henry, which will be
Mhm.
a huge adjustment, a huge thing to that. You've
But
got
Cincinnati's gonna be back.
Cleveland.
Cincinnati Bengals are
Yes,
gonna be back.
yes, yes. You cannot not include Cincinnati. And
Mhm.
one of these days, Cleveland has so much freaking talent on
They
that team
do.
that one day they're going to put everything together. 2 times is incredibly difficult. I just don't.
It's gonna be
I'm going to
tough.
say no. I'm going
Okay.
to say no. However, I do think they could possibly get there the year after that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what Casey needs. They need another wideout that's a threat. They need an inside the 5-yard line fullback or running back because I mean, he's an awesome running back. I mean, he puts his heart and soul. You can tell that kid is Pacheco is his name, right? He
Pacheco,
Pacheco, yeah.
he runs with a lot of hate.
He runs with a lot of hate, but
It reminds me of Roger Craig.
man, San Francisco was folding him up when it came to
Yeah.
short yardage, and they need a guy. If they're not going to send Mahomes over the top, they need someone to
Look,
punch a 1-yard gain. I mean, it was ridiculous
you
that
have
they didn't get
4
that.
Hall of Famers on that defensive line. There are 4 Hall of Famers.
It's gonna be hard for San.
Joey Bosa is a sick individual.
Oh, I know. And I mean, the 49ers are going to be definitely the favorite next year. Now, here's another question.
Mhm.
Is Mahomes better than Brady or will be better than Brady?
I don't think you can say that sentence until Mahomes finishes his career,
True.
because the thing that really there were 2 things that put Brady over the top for me. The first one was the Atlanta Super Bowl. When they came back and won that, and I am a lover of Joe Montana, you know, I
He's
he
amazing.
but that Super Bowl solidified his place to me as the greatest of all time.
Hmm.
Um, the next moment was when he left and then won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. And to me, that showed me it's more about the player than it is the coach.
What other quarterbacks won with 2 teams in the Super Bowl? Yeah, that's a good question.
That would be a good off the top
Audience,
of my head.
if you can answer that, please do in our
Yeah.
comments. Yeah. So,
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can think of a few receivers that, McCaffrey's dad, won one with the Niners and won one with the Denver Broncos.
mhm.
Peyton Manning. There you go.
Oh, yeah. No, did he win with Indy?
Yeah,
He won one time with Indy, okay. He
yeah,
won one time I
yeah.
thought he didn't win with Indy and he won with Denver.
No, he
You
won.
sure about that?
I'm positive.
Okay.
100% sure.
Alright,
Yeah,
alright. I know Joe,
yeah.
he went over to KC,
Kansas City.
and they went to the
Hmm.
playoffs, but they
Yeah, they
didn't
went to
win
the
it.
conference finals.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
conference championship, and then they lost.
Okay, last question about the Super Bowl, and you can finish your facts too.
Okay.
Is Reid a first ballot Hall of Fame coach?
Yes, I
Not
think
even
he's
a
already
question.
solidified his place in the Super Bowl.
And
Yeah,
I think he's on the top 5 right now, isn't he? Ever?
I personally think he's the greatest NFL football coach
Guy's
of all time.
amazing. I'd love to play for him.
Yeah,
So,
he's looks like the Quaker Oats guy.
he and I have
He's a
I
lovable guy
I empathize with him. I feel like we're brothers from another mother. Me and Andy.
and a good human being, from what I
He
understand.
is. He really is. Yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
why everybody was all mad about Kelsey. I'm like, dude, Kelsey and Mahomes, Patrick and Kelsey. I mean, yeah, those 2 are kind of, yeah, 'cause they've got young girlfriends and a wife that are kind of over the top sometimes, and they're over the top sometimes. They're kids. How old is
yeah,
Kelsey? 30, 25, 28?
uh,
And Patrick's what, 28, 27? I mean, they're young.
Patrick. Yeah, I'll tell you how old Patrick is here in just a moment.
I
I got
mean,
to fire
both
my
of
little
them are
stats
not
right
that
here.
old when you think about it. So,
Yeah,
uh,
it's true.
I mean,
It's true.
Kelsey, Kelsey's got an interesting girlfriend. I'll hope he can hold it together with her. That's a kind of a
Though, and they get a lot of slack, but I mean, good for them. And look, she's
yeah.
not asking for a
No,
camera to be on her. She's just
she's having
enjoying
fun.
herself,
Did you
having
see her?
fun.
And you know what's funny? You got to get some respect to Taylor Swift, which my son last night told me that they had a bet at church over how many times she'd be on a
Yeah,
camera.
they have a
10
drinking
over
game on
10.
that.
It was over 10. Over
Yeah,
10 was the number.
but she doesn't ask for that. She
No,
never
she
wants. She's
doesn't.
not like yeah,
She was telling like Vanilla Spice, whoever that one lady was in the box
posh.
with them. Yeah, she's trying to explain the game to her. And for a woman who before this year probably didn't watch a football game in her life, she's really I got to admire how she's jumped in and been Kelsey's biggest fan and I mean,
Yeah.
who else would have like a girlfriend like that that would just go crazy for you every time you're on the field and get a 5-yard catch? It's like
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
yards. Woohoo.
Can, can we just take the mic away from Tony Romo, though? I think we
Oh,
now see why he never ever could win a football game. He's
dude,
a
man. Sometimes I
terrible
wonder if he looks
caller.
over at Tony and just rolls his eyes and goes, "Can I get it
He says
better?"
the stupidest things.
He's an idiot.
And like the things that he's saying that they should be doing out there on the field, everybody's like,
He's a cow
no,
he's a cowboy, man. That's
he's
why.
terrible. He's
Yeah,
absolutely terrible.
I gotta
Okay,
admit, I
so
hate the Cowboys too.
the Super Bowl, all right. This last Super Bowl, first of all, everybody kind of recognizes this, but Super Bowls don't go by years; they go by at what Super Bowl it is, and it goes by it's
Roman
been Roman
numerals.
numerals forever, forever and ever. Now, ever since 50, I don't know what game it is because I can't read anything past whatever. When you start adding L's in there and stuff, I'm completely lost.
It's okay, I'm some way. They have to tell
This
me.
was Kansas City's 6th Super Bowl appearance. 24, 23, 21, 20. There's your question right there if they dominate. Because in the 2020s, they have absolutely dominated.
Now the Niners,
1970
they've
and
been in how many?
1967.
Quite a more.
The Niners have been in 8. This is their
8.
8th, and they have 5 wins. 82, great comeback against Cincinnati. 85,
Mhm.
big win against Denver, blowout. 89, comeback again against Cincinnati. 90, back-to-back. 95, the monkey off my back year.
Mhm. Great
And
game.
then 13, 20, and
That
24.
Game, great seeing the Niners win that game. So,
Yeah, that was San Diego. Let's see. There are 12 franchises that have never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Bengals, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Vikings, the Bills, the Falcons,
Mm.
the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Browns, and the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Let's
What do you mean the
see.
Chiefs?
The Super Bowl bonus. Okay, so this is last year's number, but the winning players get an extra $157,000, and the losing team this year, the Niners, get an extra $82,000.
Hmm.
You were asking about Mahomes. He's 28 years old. He's played 6 seasons.
Mhm.
And yeah, 3 Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, that dude's going to Disneyland a lot lately. So,
Brock
yeah.
Purdy is 24 years old, born in 1999.
Really?
Played 2 seasons,
Hmm.
and as we've talked and heard many times, the very last pick of the NFL draft last year.
He's going to have some more chances to win a Super Bowl. I have no doubt. I mean, next year is probably going to be the next one, and he may win it if you want to pull your head up a little more. You're down again.
Yep. Oh, sorry.
You look like the guy. You look like the guy on the home. What was that show where the fence?
Oh,
Yeah, there you go. I'm a 49ers
Andy
fan.
Reid is 65 years old.
That's true.
Kyle Shanahan is 44 years old.
Yeah, Randy could start taking unemployment or Social Security if he wants, but I don't think he needs it.
Yeah. Okay, so Allegiant Stadium holds 71,835 people.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Thomas, she was the first female to ref a Super Bowl. That was in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. The estimated impact for Vegas during the Super Bowl, $1.1 billion.
True. It's a lot of money,
7,000 volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of Allegiant Stadium was $1.9 billion. So almost paid it.
Yeah.
Let's see. $275. That's the projected average spending by a Super Bowl tourist on food and drinks over the 4 days.
No, you know how much nachos
25%.
cost last night?
Oh, how,
$60.
60
60.
bucks for nachos
60.
at the stadium?
Yep.
Wow.
That
Holy
was,
cow.
yeah, there was there's some price gouging going. The average cost for a ticket was $9,000,
Yeah. Yep.
11% of the average medium income for the year.
I'm gonna get to that here in just a minute. Cutting
Oh,
into my stuff, buddy.
156,000
156,000 rings were sold out.
Vegas not a bad place to have it.
No, it's not. Them and Nashville have the most room
That
capacity of any
that
other
even
city.
dent Vegas's rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
have big events there, a lot bigger than the Super Bowl. So
Let's see here.
NASCAR's
The
huge.
lowest daily hotel rate was $300.
Mm.
So ticket prices. So the average price
Was a
of a Super
hellhole,
Bowl
probably.
ticket on the
Yeah.
resale market was $10,752.
Mhm.
The lowest price Super Bowl ticket resale, I'm talking resale, not off of purchase and stuff, was $8,500.
Shoot.
Who would spend that kind of money on that?
Yeah. Yeah. And you see little kids at the game, you're like, who in the saying who would buy a ticket for a 4-year-old to this game? But yeah, they
Oh,
do it. They do it.
highest price on the ticket was $40,000.
Yeah, I could see that.
75% of the ticket supply is controlled by the NFL.
Mm.
So here's something here that this last little, well, hold on. I got two more things here. What we'd give up to go to the Super Bowl in person. 35% of people say they would give up drinking for a year. 28% say their favorite food. 21% say all vacation days from work, which I raised an interesting question yesterday. Why do we not have that game on Saturday so that
Yeah.
Sunday you can relax?
I just thought of a great contest. Now there's these weight loss programs where you get paid to lose weight. You have to bet against yourself. So the NFL, for 10 lucky Americans or whoever, could have a contest for the first 10 people to lose 100 pounds, get to go get a Super Bowl ticket. I
See,
I
there you
might do
go.
that. I might do that. That'd be a once in a
Yeah,
lifetime thing. Plus you
I might
save
even
your
do that.
life probably.
Break myself down to like 125 pounds.
You put all that weight back on in about a month,
I
6
would.
months just to do that.
So talking about weight, okay? So the parties, the
Yeah.
events, right? 112 million Americans plan to throw or attend a Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
It's roughly a third of the country's population.
Yeah.
16.2 million Americans plan to watch from a bar or restaurant. Average calories for a football party feast,
Not good.
8,000.
Oh. Ouch. That's why you don't start your diet until after February, Tim.
They estimate 1.45 billion, that's with a B, chicken wings were eaten.
Poor chickens.
They estimate 10 million pounds of ribs were sold during the week of the Super Bowl. 11.3 million pounds of potato chips were eaten. Now think about how light a bag of potato chips is.
Yeah.
11.3 million pounds of them. 250 million avocados purchased for guacamoles.
That's insane.
There is an increase of 35% of pizza sales, and 74% of all Americans admit eating more during Super Bowl than any other time during the year.